Now, what's very important is as we're moving into that phase that the group is really clear on the discrimination between acting and exploring. Because if the group is not clear on that yet, then you don't want to encourage. So if I wasn't confident that Kim had the difference between filling up with the energy of annoyance versus acting out against the people he's annoyed with, I wouldn't encourage him to fill up with the experience yet. And that's very important in SCT. In a way, it's just like we do explore, explain. We also are the difference between exploring and containing one's experience versus acting it. And very, very important in the early phases, the goal is not to be able to communicate one's anger to someone else. The goal is to be able to have the internal communication with one's own anger. Okay? So the goal isn't for Kim to go talk to the interview guy. The goal is for Kim to have his internal experience of his anger so he is free again, knows what he knows, and is can stay in his member relationship about the job he's pursuing. Yeah?
If you were in a work group context,
yes,
and say someone was losing energy and it turned out they were irritated, let's say at a memo that they got from a coworker, how would you, because this is very psychotherapeutic and we're in that context, but I'm imagining actually a specific woman who works for me right now and who is actually irritated at another person we're working with. I just talked to her on the phone last night. I don't think I could say to her, now fill up with your irritation and now vector that toward the work. So how can you put that into language that works?
Well, it depends on your working context, really. Okay, so if I'm working with a team and the team's energy starts to flag, I say something like, so is there frustration with the work right now that we're not talking about yet? Because there always will be frustration as a byproduct of work. Okay, so I'll just legitimize it and surface it. Now if you're working with what's your role relationship to her? Colleague or your supervisor?
I'm her boss.
Okay, so then your job is to help her see, so if you get to know what you know through your irritation, how can you use what you know to take your role, goal, and context? Something like that. You could say it any way you wanted, but okay, so you're irritated, and what is your role with the person who sent the memo? And is there something you know through your irritation that's going to inform you about how to take your role? Because the goal of irritation, ultimately, is to be able to use the knowledge and information in it to take one's membership. Okay? Now, in order to get to that, that's the advantage of the training group, is we get to restore our basic relationship to ourselves so we can use what we know, which is what I was working with Kim on. Yeah. But you're in a different. Your role with her is to keep helping her take her work role.
Yeah, that's the part that I got from what you're saying. It's the role goal context.
Yeah, it's always role goal and context.
That can be just like, all right, I get that you're irritated.
Now, what are you going? Yes.
And let's talk about what's actually going to help us get where we need to.
Terrific, David. You got it. Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so.
One related question about the difference between containment of anger and bottling up anger.
Yes. How would you say that, Jan? How would you describe the difference? It's a nice, and it's a good thing for a training group to subgroup around. How does one tell the difference between when one's bottling up one's anger and when one's containing it?
Yeah, containment doesn't yet seem to go into really just filling up with the energy.
Yes.
That is what it's
about,
filling up.
Filling up and being able to get to know one's energetic experience, which theoretically is discriminating and integrating. So when we fill up with our anger, we get to know our experience, we are discriminating and integrating the energetic experience, the sensate information, the emotional experience, so that we, one, get free to know what we know, and then know more of what we know through the process of exploring our experience, which is discriminating and integrating, tying in the theory. Well, exploring, the bottled up would really be the tension. We put a lid on something, we tense up, we don't really get the full experience of it. Because the next place we go, after we've undone the depression, and we've undone the outrage, is being able to explore the impulse to target, and being able to explore that in a subgroup, and get to know all the ways that we want to target. and all the depths of our angry experience. And as the group gets more and more developed, that will lead the group into exploring the sadistic impulses, the ways we really want to get back at people, and we want to in a way, get back at them in a way that they understand how we have felt. Because underneath the sadistic impulse is a communication attempt. So when we can get to the level of exploring that in a subgroup, where the group is not scared by their impulses any longer, but is seeing them as the human impulses, contained in a subgroup with others who have the same human impulses, we get freer and freer to know that when we feel hurt or gotten by someone, we inevitably want to retaliate. And we can't help that. We're born that way. That is in our species. And we all have the impulse to retaliate. And the easiest way to look at it is you look at a 18-month-old who's not socialized yet. And you bump into the 18-month-old, and what does the 18-month-old do?
Cry.
Cries and hits. Okay?
Bites.
And bites. Yes. Yeah. And that is the hardwired human retaliation that's in all of us. So when we feel hurt, when we feel gotten, when we feel stung, we are going to have our retaliatory impulse. The only issue is, can we make space for it, or do we shut it down through depression or outrage? Some of the descriptions in the Ring of Fire article are very good. If you listen to a group really explore their retaliation impulses, you'll hear the group get to things like, well, I want to, an early one in a group often will be with the leader, well, I want to put masking tape on you so you can't interrupt me anymore. Okay? Y'all got that? Did you get that one? Yes? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. A further along one, as a group is going to deeper levels of it, an example Yvonne tells often is in a training group some years ago, the trainee was saying, I want to take red hot darts and I want to throw them at you. And I want them to hit your body in all different places, and I want each one to puncture you and to sting. And then as the person worked, she got to the level of saying something like, and of understanding, I want you to know how I feel when you interrupt me. And when you train me, I want you to know what it feels like. And then at that level, there was a self-understanding, and the person was free again. So, and that was the journey into the sadism that then freed the person to know themselves and also repair the relationship in a way.